use the word amazing, brilliant, astonishing, shocking, epic. All those terms perhaps are often overused when it comes to describing sporting events and games that we've witnessed. But in this particular case, they're all applicable because, again, history made on so many fronts. 93-0 previously when trailing by 19 going to the fourth quarter, make it 93-1 because the New England Patriots became that one. And should we be shocked when it comes to a team coached by Bill Belichick and a team quarterbacked by Tom Brady? The New England Patriots are the champions of professional football yet again. Fifth time they've done it. They beat the Falcons 34-28 in overtime. Records galore. Tom Brady, a Super Bowl record, 466 yards passing. Of course, James White had an amazing game, a Super Bowl record, 14 catches. And Hammond High School in the southeastern Louisiana star, Robert Alford, what a wonderful game he had. 82-yard interception return for a score and a fumble recovery as well. And need we neglect Debo Jones of Jesuit and LSU, who had a fantastic game as well for the Falcons. So a little bit of everything. Hometown heroes, as the greatest player ever getting it done and the greatest coach ever getting it done. Brian, this was on so many fronts an unbelievable game because so many people gave up on New England. And at one point on Twitter, I declared the Falcons would be champions, and I didn't delete it. I left it up there. Bottom line was I wasn't alone. You watched the game too. You saw how one-sided it was. How does this happen?
Well, you know, I don't know if there's a real great explanation for it, Kenny, other than to say that New England has been there. Maybe not in this predicament before, but boy, they just know how to deal with adversity. They've been doing it all season long, and you hit the nail on the head. You're talking about the game's greatest coach and the game's greatest player. And when you put those two guys, they can move mountains. And they moved a mountain yesterday in Houston, and that was called the Atlanta Falcons. And it's an epic game. This comeback, you know, you say something will never approach this again. Perhaps not, but yesterday's game, remember it because not many teams could ever do what New England accomplished.
Now, you talk about greatness, Brian, and Jerry Rice was the best receiver that ever played the game. When you talk about running backs, I mean, obviously a lot of people point to Jim Brown, and for good reason, regardless of how long his career was. But Tom Brady's the best player in the history of the NFL because he plays the most important position and he handles the ball on every play.
And Kenny, you know what makes Tom so amazing is now he didn't play well in the first half. Let's be honest here, all right. But he played as good a second half as you can, and he, along with their coaching staff, Belichick, Patricia, and Josh McDaniels, those guys came back. And with Tom's ability to me, Ricky, is that it's amazing how he makes people around him so much better, okay? And Atlanta was willing to play kind of a robber defense and allow a guy like James White to come out of the backfield free, untouched. And what did he do? He caught 14 passes, okay, a Super Bowl record. A running back, 14 passes. So,
well, let's take a look. Let's take a look at the final numbers of the game, and you get an understanding of just how one-sided the numbers were in favor of the Patriots. They had the ball pretty much the whole game, 93 snaps to 46. The total yards, they outdid them by over 200 yards. The one number they lost was turnovers, and that's what gets you beat, but not on this night. And the team pressure on both sides, Ricky, was enormous. 5 sacks for both teams, and it wasn't just the sacks, Ricky. It was the pressure that both teams got, something the Saints needed to look at very closely because it's what they lack. Unquestionably, these teams both had pressure on the opposing quarterback.
Well, you got to realize Atlanta got pressure early in the first 2 quarters. But coming down the stretch, they didn't get any pressure the last 2 quarters where it counted. But, you know, Atlanta had their chances at the game. I mean, they got 28 points, and the turning point was they kept trying to hit the home run, kept trying to get points to settle for the 3 points. If they'd have settled for the 3 points, when they got on the 25-yard line, run the ball, kicked the field goal, went up 2 scores, it would have made it hard for New England to come back and win the ball game. But what Atlanta did was allow New England to get a turnover and change the whole game. So Atlanta played right into New England's hand. They kept trying to kill them and cut the game out when they could have won the game by being conservative. They stopped being conservative. They tried to be wide open Atlanta, and it cost them.
Kyle Shanahan is going to be the next head coach of the 49ers, and yet his play calling in the fourth quarter has to be questioned. Ricky, 2 consecutive series after the Patriots kick a field goal to make it 28-12. With about 10 minutes left, the Falcons have a 3rd and 1 at their own 35, and they've run the ball very well. Instead of running, he calls a pass play. Matt Ryan gets sacked, stripped, fumbles. Dante Hightower. Branch recovers. Patriots score, go for 2, make it 28-20. Why would you throw the ball there? Then on the next series, as you know, they reached the 22-yard line of the Falcons, and on 2nd and 8, instead of running the ball when you're in field goal range to put the game away, elects to throw it and gets sacked, and then the holding penalty, and then they end up punting and they lose the game.
But Ken, I can't understand. Atlanta showed nervous the whole second half. They waste 2 timeouts for no reason. I mean, you know, they waste 2 timeouts back to back. Then the coach wastes a timeout on a catch when he had time to look at it and see whether the catch. I mean, they just waste all 3 of the timeout. And then I would have stopped him. I would have let the offensive coach know. I would have got on my headset and I would have let him know, we're going to run these balls, we're going to kick this field goal. We're going to win this game right here. I mean, he didn't take none of the power away from the play caller. He let the play caller do what he wanted to do. So I put that on the head coach.
Yeah, take control in that situation. Right. Obviously, that didn't happen, Brian, and obviously there are so many things to point to in this game. But when you're playing the Patriots, you can't give them an inch. They'll take a mile. That's who they are. And it was a remarkable comeback, but the Falcons certainly played a large role in it.
They played well, Kenny, but they couldn't close the deal against really a dynastic football team in the Patriots. And to Ricky's and your point, you guys, when you're up 28-9 going into the fourth quarter, it's not the Patriots you're trying to beat, it's the clock. The clock, milk the clock. So when you throw the ball, okay, and there's 3 things that can happen, as Bum Phillips has always said. Okay, if you don't complete the pass, the clock stops and you play into the Patriots' hands. But the play selection from Kyle Shanahan, and he's got to live with it, okay? Just like the coordinator in Seattle last year's got to live, or 2 years ago, has to live with that play selection down at the goal line. You know, you've got to make the right call there and eat the clock.
Well, they ran the ball extremely well the whole game, and the crack toss was there for them on the power pitch all day if they wanted it. But they didn't finish it, as you mentioned. The New England Patriots, well, they did finish it. Bill Belichick finished it. Tom Brady finished it. And therefore, the argument about the best ever, I think, is finished.
Yeah.
I think it's the best coach and the best player in the history of the NFL, as the numbers would attest to. Tom Brady now 5 Super Bowl championships, surpasses Joe Montana and Terry Bradshaw. Bill Belichick, 5 Super Bowl championships, surpasses Chuck Noll. And the list is awesome. Those are incredible people on that list. Unquestionably, but to me, unquestionably, these are the best, because the other thing about it, Ricky, is they've done it in an era of 32 teams and equal competition, and the draft slanted toward the losing teams. It's so hard to do this year after year like this team's done.
Well, I think that took Tom Brady over the top. I had Joe Montana, Marino, then Tom Brady, but with this victory here and the way he carried himself the third and fourth quarter, I have to kind of move him up a notch. I mean, and Montana gonna always be where he at, Marino gonna be where he at, but now Tom Brady, you got to kind of put him above those guys. I mean, he done took it to another level, and to get 5 championships as a quarterback, you know, coming 6th-round draft choice out of Michigan, it done proved his worth. So I mean, and he ain't through yet, and that's the whole thing about it. He want another one next year, so. You know what I mean? I just think that he can go down as the greatest quarterback ever now.
Yeah, Marino's great, but didn't win any, of course.
Right.
Obviously, Peyton Manning did. To me, it was Brady Manning in that order, and to me, the gap is very large now, Brian.
Yeah, Kenny, when you think about it, you know, prior to the New England winning the last 2 out of 3 years, I think it is that John Elway had been the oldest quarterback to win a Super Bowl. And now you've got back-to-back 39-year-old quarterbacks in Peyton Manning and now Tom Brady. So my word is to the Saints, Drew Brees is 38, so he's still a young 38.
Tom Brady became the oldest to do it, right behind Peyton Manning, second oldest.
Yeah.
Peyton, the oldest to do it. Brady second, and of course, John Elway third. Drew Brees, by the way, February 4th of next year, 39 years of age and 23 days. So he can do it at the level he's playing at. But He needs a much better supporting cast, which we'll get into in the next segment. We, of course, are grateful to Premier Automotive and Premier Honda in particular, 11801 I-10 Service Road here in the east on the corner of Bullard and I-10 Service Road. Premier Honda closing out this season with premier deals. If you're looking for the perfect car and you're tired of searching, Premier Honda has got you covered. Stop in the beautiful showroom here at 11801 East I-10 Service Road and see what's happening. Or visit our website at premierhonda.com and go home in your dream car today. Thank you, Troy Duhan and the Premier Automotive family, for another great year of Sports NOLA TV. The Saints, the offseason, what they need to do to win when we return in a moment.